I'm Joe Kramer, composer of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to listen to this podcast from the Geekcast Radio Network.
This is M-Wire, Movie Week in Review. M-Wire is brought to you by Audible.com. Sign up today to get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/geekcastradio. Start today with a free 30-day trial with over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter at audible_com. And now the latest and greatest in movies with M-Wire.
Hello and welcome to episode 130 of M-Wire, Movie Week in Review here on the Geekcast Radio Network. I'm, of course, TFG and Mike, and we were supposed to do this episode last year when the actual 20th anniversary happened, but sadly that never occurred. But we're doing it now. It's been 21 years of dealing with the IMF, the Impossible Mission Force, and of course I'm joined by Doug Abel, who may or may not be the best agent of choice for this mission.
Oh, God. You had to suck me in this whole goddamn thing with your love, your whole love of Tom Cruise.
First of all, it's not Tom Cruise, it's the movies.
It's your bromance with Tom Cruise.
No, it's not. No.
I can't get why you love him in Top Gun, you love him in Days of Thunder, you love him in all these other films, but you hate Legend. And then you love him in all the Mission Impossible movies.
Well, to be fair, I saw Legend, I don't know, almost 20 years ago at this point. The movie is not very memorable for me. Last thing I remember is Tom Cruise as a leprechaun.
Oh, you've got to see it again. He is not a leprechaun.
I am so not watching it if I come out to California again. Ain't happening. Anyway, Mission Impossible. Originally a television series back in the 50s and 60s. And 1996 they decided to make a film franchise out of it, and pissed a lot of people off about it, especially Peter Graves and a few other of the classic TV characters. Peter Graves played Jim Phelps originally, and in the first movie they make Jim Phelps a traitor, and that apparently caused some controversy with the original cast, and none of the original cast, to my knowledge, returns. Honestly, it's better without the original cast.
Oh, those are fighting words.
I mean, I like the old TV show. I do. It was very cool, but that first movie was... we'll get into it here in a minute. Do you remember if you saw the first one in theaters?
Yeah, actually I did. And the first one I was very impressed with, partially because of all the special effects and stuff that they did. The one thing that everybody remembers about Mission Impossible was the drop where he's hanging that inch above the floor. And so
yep.
that was the big thing, and I was always jazzed about it. I'm like, this is actually a decent spy film, decent action film for what it was, and it was a summer blockbuster. So, we went out to go see it in '96.
Mm-hmm. And then 4 years later, Mission 2 comes, and everybody, turns against the franchise. Except for me.
Oh, come on! That was just a horrible storyline. That the whole let's launch a virus. Let's throw a virus out there, and we're gonna give it to Sandy Newton and send her out into the world. A lot there that I was supposed to follow.
I think what they were trying to do with the second one, and we'll get into this further later, but I think what they were trying to do in general was ramp up the mysteriousness of it, because that was part of the complaints, part of the controversy of the first film, is that it wasn't like Mission Impossible the original TV series was, supposed to be, you figure it out. And the first one was more action than puzzle. And I think with all the masks and everything else that they used in the second one, the whole double switch between Ethan and Sean and all that stuff, and then Hugh, Stamp, and Ethan, and all the double switching with the masks. I think that's what, for the second one, gives us the mystery and intrigue, regardless if it's just a standard virus plot.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what you say. I don't care what Stephen Ring says. Woofu bike fighting is awesome. Don't care.
Oh. Come on, they make fun of that in Scary Movie 2.
Motorcycle jousting is amazing.
No. If they make fun of it with two guys in wheelchairs and they have a crash and then they make fun of that whole scene with Scary Movie 2, it's not a good thing. And the fact that they got golden raspberries for the movie, come on.
All right. Technically, Tom Cruise already did this. No, seriously, before Scary Movie 2, before Mission Impossible 2, 1990, Days of Thunder, he and Michael, what's his name, were wheelchair racing.
It was the same. I mean,
and then Mission 1, 2, and 3 happened within the span of 10 years of each other. Mission 1 is 96, 2 is 2000, and then 6 years later we get Mission 3. Honestly, I was not even I didn't even think there was going to be a Mission 3 after Mission 2. Not that Mission 2, I thought it was bad. I didn't. But I just figured, okay, well, it's Tom Cruise. He's going to go on to something else, regardless of how much the money the movies make and whatever else. But no, 2006, we get Mission 3. We get a new director, because the first film was Brian De Palma. The second film was John Woo. And the third film, Mr. Felicity himself, J.J. Abrams. We can tell you are so excited.
Well, J.J. had I want to say at this point he'd had Alias under his belt.
Yeah, Alias was still going on. Yeah.
Okay, and I think he had just started Lost as well, because I remember Lost being like season 3 or season 4 of Alias that they started that off. And
yeah, Alias was 2001 to 2005 or 6, and then right after that, Lost started. Right after Mission 3 was done.
Okay, so yeah, he kind of had that under it, and you could get the feeling for it, and I guess Abrams, I liked his creepier stuff better, where it was more, you don't know necessarily what's going on, and 3, it was okay. It was better than 2, I will say that much. But they could have picked a better villain.
Oh, really? For 3, they could have picked a better villain? Really? Philip Seymour Hoffman as Owen Davian? Oh my God, he's one of the more menacing villains of the series.
I kept watching and I kept thinking, oh my God, any minute now he's going to bust out with Truman Capote. Oh. And it's going to be this whole thing of, oh my God. And it was just, I listened to these kids going off and talking about this, and just Truman Capote was just this wonderful gay man. Yeah, that was what I expected him to bust out with. And I'm sorry, that was all I could think of watching the entire film.
2011, we got Ghost Protocol, and this movie was very incredible.
Yes.
Yes. Because it was Brad Bird directing Mission 4, and then Mission 5 and Mission 6, it has been announced, or it has been confirmed by at least several different people on the production or whatever else, that Christopher McQuarrie, who did Rogue Nation, will also be coming back in 2018 to do Mission 6. They have not done a subtitle for Mission 6 yet, so no clue on what. The only thing I know from what I read on various sources is that apparently Mission 6 will kind of be the Skyfall for the Mission Impossible franchise. Basically, what I've read is that it's supposedly supposed to give us more insight and background on Ethan's life, or maybe a past life or whatever. So,
well, that could be interesting. Maybe we'll get a little bit more on his back history with him and his wife, because that whole thing was kind of messed up for me. I was trying to follow it, and I was kind of like, huh? I got
and 4. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. Stars of the film, Obviously, Tom Cruise. In the first film, you had Emilio Estevez, who lasted all of 20 minutes or so. You know.
Kerry Russell.
No, well, yeah, that's later. Also, in the first film, you had Kristen Scott Thomas, as I said, John Voight as Jim Phelps. Second film was, as we said, Thandie Newton, Anthony Hopkins. And Luther, played by Ving Rhames, has been in almost all of them. I almost didn't think he was going to be in 4 because they didn't show him until the very end of Ghost Protocol.
I know, and I was kind of like, oh my god, they have to have Ving Rhames.
I know, I was like, wait a minute, where's Luther? What's he doing? Come on! You know, I mean, technically he is the Felix to Ethan's Bond.
Yeah, him and Simon Pegg are like, honestly, I gotta say, they're probably the only reason I'm gonna watch. If they have, if they actually do come out with 6, I know. If it actually hits out,
they were supposed to start production last year. I don't know. They were supposed to start filming last year, but I'm not sure if it's happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, those would be the 2 people that I would want to watch the series for. Tom Cruise doesn't hold an interest for me anymore. I'm sorry.
The villains of the pieces. As I said, John Voight ends up being the villain in the first movie. You got Dougray Scott in the second movie. Owen Davian, played by the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, in the third film. The fourth film was a little weird.
Yeah.
It seems to me that after the third film, either the production company changed or something changed. Yeah, the first 3 films were done by Cruise Wagner, which is Tom Cruise and Paula Wagner's production company, and then by the fourth and fifth films, like, I love Rogue Nation, and I think it's the best one out of the 5 outside of, the first. I mean, we'll rank them at the end of the podcast, but it's one of those things where at the beginning of that, you got Paramount, you got Skydance, you got Alibaba, this, that, and you got like 4 different production companies after the Paramount, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
You're like, okay, hey, great, we're getting into the movie. Damn, it's just the production studio thing.
Yep. The box office performance for this franchise is amazing. In 21 years, this franchise has a $2.770 billion box office.
Yeah, I would say that it's a popular franchise. Yes.
So getting into notes and things like that. The first film. Again, this is 1996 or so, and, Emilio Estevez is, fairly popular still at that time.
He's the coach of the Mighty Ducks. Come on.
Yeah. And he plays Jack in the first film, and the best line from him was, hasta lasagna, don't get any on you, just don't chew it. Talking about the explosive gum. And you look at this, you look at Mission 1, and look at this film, and look when this film was made, because this film was produced anywhere between 94, 95, and then released in 96 or whatever, some time frame before the actual release date of May 22nd, 96. They could still smoke on planes back in the 90s. You can't smoke on a damn airline today unless you own the plane, unless you're a Tony Stark.
Yeah, unless you're flying private airlines or something like that, they're not going to let you light up at all.
Yep. Poor Jack. He didn't last very long. What did you think as you were watching that? Yeah, obviously you've seen this before, but it's been a while. What were you thinking when you were watching this one again for the first film?
I liked it. I mean, it was going on. It was pretty good. The whole thing of because obviously this title was not Ethan wasn't part of the IMF yet with this, really. I mean, he kind of was, he kind of wasn't. He was an agent. He wasn't in charge. He was just a field agent. Right. And he kind of gets that framing of, his fellow agents and that whole mission gone wrong, and you kind of see this backroom dealings that are going on of who's conniving and who's doing what. I thought it was good for what it was. You know, it holds up. It holds up for the action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 20 plus years.
Yeah, absolutely.
The scenes of him breaking in, you know, getting this rogue team together with Ving Rhames and the others, where they get the rogue team together and they kind of go off and break into the buildings here and do that whole spy thing. That was impressive to me. That was like, holy shit, they're doing this whole thing of, we're going to break into a building that really has no way in, or it has no supposedly way to get in here, and they're doing this, sneaking in on all this, all to further the mission here at the very end, so that they can finally capture it. You know, they can capture and deal with Max.
Yep. The funny thing about this first film is that there are at least 3 scenes that are very memorable for me. Obviously, the wire drop, just the first wire drop, not even the one where Krieger lets go to kill the rat and he lets him drop, but the first one was cool. And then obviously the second close call wire drop, him jumping out of the window in the restaurant with the water coming out. That I remember that being a highlight reel. And then at the end, the explosion of the helicopter that throws him onto the train, and then the blade comes within an inch of his neck.
And I have one thing to say: red light, green light, red light, light.
Exactly. I remember the mainframe scene, the CIA scene where they finally do get Ethan back up into the vent, and Krieger grabs the disc and lets go of his knife. And first thing I can think of, right before William Donlow picks the knife up, when it's just a shot of the knife just sticking there on the, like, that's not a knife. This is a knife.
I'll tell you that is Lego did for their Lego Dimensions game. They came out with year 2.
Mm-hmm.
He redid the entire first movie of Mission Impossible. They put it into the Lego version, and they have that scene. You actually have to break in, and they have Lego rats that are running around in the vent before you have to do the drop. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
I should have showed it to you while you were out here, and I just forgot.
I'll be out there eventually again. All right. What I do love is how the walkthrough of the betrayal happened. Like, Jim is assuming it's Kittredge, and Ethan is looking at it as, oh, this is Jim. Jim did this. Because after all, those damn Gideons at the Drake Hotel Chicago stamped the Bible. I do love the train sequence. Oh.
You know, everything that train was just a bomb sequence at the end. You know, them being on top, even with the helicopter chasing after them down the tunnel. You know, all the stuff with him being found out. Oh, it's not who I thought it was. And it's like, oh shit. Great stuff. So,
absolutely. What would you rate the first film, 0 to 5?
On this one here, I'd probably give it a 4. There were a few things that were just kind of like, okay, you know, over time, I wouldn't say it's, you know, the most spectacular film I've ever seen, but for the entire franchise, it was a good film.
It was a good stepping stone.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end of it, you know, you've got the stewardess, the flight attendant asking him, how about the cinema of the Caribbean? So you know that that it's going to continue here. With this first film, you had, honestly, to me, almost 2 unknowns, because let's face it, when people hear the name U2, the first thing everyone remembers is Bono. No one remembers Larry Mullen and Adam Clayton. Or at least until this film, I didn't know those were there. Like, I knew there were other band members in U2, but at, you know, 1996, I was 16 years old. I was just listening to The Streets Have No Name. You know, it's like I wasn't paying attention to who the other band members were.
Edge. That's it. That's all everybody.
Yeah, Bono and Edge, Larry Mullen and Adam Clayton. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Larry Mullen and Adam Clayton did the theme song, the main theme for this. And now you say this is your favorite out of the 5, right?
Oh, this is. I remember in 1996, radio DJs, my favorite radio DJs, Dave Shelley and Chainsaw. Dave Rickards gets on the radio and he goes, "Okay, hold on. I'm going to blow your guys' minds." And he goes, "You got to listen to this thing by U2." And I went, "U2? Oh, okay, great." I'm thinking he's going to play something off the track of Joshua Tree or something,
Mm-hmm.
And then he plays this, and I'm like, oh, I like this. Because, I grew up watching the 80s version of Mission Impossible. So I'm like, okay. And I hear this, and I hear the electric guitar on it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I like this version.
Yep. And then the rest of the score is weird for this because it's said online and through various things that Danny Elfman was the composer for it. Yeah. But yet when I look at it on iTunes, it says Danny Elfman's name at the top of the iTunes listing, but under each individual track it lists somebody completely different. I have no clue.
Maybe he was the arranger or something like that. Maybe the stuff.
Yeah. I guess. I'm not really sure. So we fast forward 4 years later, and I remember seeing the trailers for Mission 2, and I was excited because in the trailers, most of the early trailers, all as you heard was the instrumental from Take a Look Around. You didn't really hear, I just thought, okay, it's clearly Limp Bizkit, but, it's not, it's them just do the same thing that Larry and Adam did with doing an instrumental. But no, it's a full-on song called Take a Look Around. But Mission 2, I love how this starts. I think that's so cool. You basically start with the villain, and then you start with Ethan on vacation.
Yeah, and I will admit that the rock climbing scene was kind of cool, even if it was faked, because I did see a making of for that scene.
Mm-hmm.
It is Tom Cruise doing the whole hanging where he's doing the whole Iron Cross hold.
But the actual climbing is stunt doubles.
Yeah, he's actually only about 8 feet up in the air when they did that scene with him doing that Iron Cross thing.
Yeah.
So fake rock, and they just superimposed it in.
Well, yeah, but as time went on, he insisted on doing his own stunts. Every other film after this, he did his own stunts pretty much.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we cover that in Ghost Protocol.
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even looking at it right now, and I can just feel those gloves just letting go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, so Mission 2, basically, it's Ethan versus Sean Ambrose, and Ambrose wants to basically make a lot of money by releasing a virus and then selling the antidote at a high cost and everything like that. Go ahead.
Martin Shkreli, or however you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Shkreli, that guy who jacked up the EpiPens like $600. Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah, that's true. What is interesting for me is how much Ethan has changed as a character between the first and second film. Not just in his appearance. Okay, I have a theory, and it kind of goes out the window with 4 and 5, but I have a theory that the odd movies are short haircut Ethan, the even movies are long haircut Ethan, because they constantly change.
Yeah, that was something that kind of bugged me. I'm like, okay, you grew your hair out. You're kind of going for the more hippie rogue type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of bugged me with this film because he really wasn't kind of the rogue. He was, hey, I'm part of the IMF and we're going to stop the bad guy. This was a typical John Woo film in that you had the shoot 'em up, You had the fast action. You had the replacement killer's style that was hitting there. And that's, everything screamed John Woo for this film.
Well, that's because the guy directed the movie. I mean, the director is gonna have the way, his the writers can write the story, but the director is gonna have the way that he wants the film to be the way that he wants the film. I mean, just look at Star Wars. Anyway, there are a couple of standouts here with scenes. Obviously, the bike jousting is a standout. There are several other scenes, like the one where he throws the thing and shoots it and explodes the door, and he walks by it all slow motion like. That's a Woo thing. Another Woo-foo thing is the damn doves or pigeons or whatever the hell they are, flying around in slow motion. I love Luther in this movie. Luther in the first movie, we're just meeting him. We're just kind of getting to know him. But in this movie, he's an $800 pair of Gucci shoes. What the hell?
Yeah.
He
had the attitude. And I loved him for it,
I thought the end switch with Hunt and Hugh, with Ethan and Hugh, was great. I thought that was really interesting. That again, using the masks. Because they use the masks throughout this whole movie. Ethan doubles Sean. Well, no, actually, I don't think Ethan ever doubled Sean, but Sean doubles Ethan. Everybody else is wearing masks. You got Anthony Hopkins over there. Almost until a few movies later, almost the best line of the entire franchise. Well, this is not Mission Difficult, Mr. Hunt. This is Mission Impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you. Anything else you want to say about 2?
Well,
we got to talk about the music too. But I mean, is there anything about the actual film?
I hated the jousting. Well, okay. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna get my piece off here on this. When I watched the film, this was one of these like really bad things to really notice. I'm noticing that they're riding street bikes and they're hauling ass on sport bikes, and then they get out onto the beach to do the joust, and all of a sudden I notice that there's knobby tires on the bikes, and I'm like, really? You guys couldn't hide that shit better? It was one of those glaring things, and I was really trying to suspend my disbelief throughout the entire movie, and be like, okay, this is really cool. It's it's a Mission Impossible thing, and then I see that and I'm like, good God, that's horrible. That it bugged the hell out of me, and so for that partly ruined the movie for me. That, and then of course the scenes where you see the guy who created Chimera and Bellerophon,
Dmitri. Not Dmitri, Nakorovich, yeah.
Yeah, but you see the effects of the virus on him, the guy that he gave it to. And I didn't need to see that. They could have just left that out and left it to where it was off screen, and Ethan sees it and goes, oh, Jesus, we can't let this thing out. If they'd done it like that, I would have been totally okay with it. But the way that we put that in, I'm just like, I didn't need to see that, It wasn't needed for the rating of the film. So those are my big bitches about that film.
All right, so we've got Hans Zimmer doing the score for this one. I like it. I think it's great. I love what Hans did with this. He works with the classic theme very well. I think the music fits, and again, and I've said this a lot, where what I love is you can create the music for the movie that is not the hero theme, but you can meld the two together. Like it's right when Ethan is running out of Bear Island, right before he runs out to the top of the thing to get to Luther and Billy in the helicopter. It has this low tone, and then it speeds up because it runs right into the Mission Impossible theme, and I just love the way that he did that. I just love that slow and low stuff. As far as the other songs, Take a Look Around is all right. It's not the worst Limp Bizkit song, but it's not the best one either. And then for some odd reason, Metallica has a song in this score.
Yeah, that was kind of...
I disappear, and I'm like, is this even in the movie? It's not. I don't remember it being... Like, I just watched... Folks, I just spent the last 48 hours watching these 5 films, so I should remember that if I heard a Metallica song in a movie.
Yeah.
And again, I get it. They want to, and the way that it's advertised. Okay, so you have a score, which is a separate disc release, which I actually have it over on my shelf here from Hans Zimmer. It includes the entire score of the film, plus Zap Mama's Aiko Aiko.
Yep.
And the original soundtrack, it's one of those ones where it's like Mission Impossible 2 original motion picture soundtrack inspired by, that kind of thing, where it's like, hey, this is based on and inspired by the film. And sometimes those kind of rub me the wrong way, because if I hear a song in a movie and I go to a Record Town or an FYE or a Sam Goody, none of these stores exist anymore. But back then, huh?
You're dating yourself.
I know, right? Hey, it'd be better than being with someone that does. Anyway, so these stores, you'd go in. God damn it, now where the hell was I going with this? Oh, you'd go in and you'd see that, hey, they've got all these licensed people, these licensed artists that want to get their songs out on the, this score, the soundtrack has a song by the Butthole Surfers on it.
No.
It does. I will send it to you. It does.
I believe you. No. Oh, that should not be in there.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, we got Metallica, we got Rob Zombie, Butthole Surfers, The Pimps, the Foo Fighters. Chris Cornell has a song on here. What the hell is he doing on here? Godsmack has one on here. Uncle Kracker. Buck Cherry. Oh my God. Tori Amos has a song on Mission Impossible 2, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Oh my God. So funny. Alright. We are... What would you rate 2? Did we already rate 2? I don't remember off the top of my head.
No, you're going to hate me for this, but 2, I would probably give it a 2, 2.5.
Yeah. No, I get it. And again, like I said, at the time when that first came out, I liked the first one. I really did, but I enjoyed the action of the second one and the way, like I said before, the way the music worked with it and everything else. Looking back on it and rewatching it, I still very much enjoy the second film. It is still in my top ranking of the franchise, but I'd give it a 3.5.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'm going to say that this was probably... This is my least favorite out of all of them. Out of all 5, this one here is going to be the lowest rated just because I did not care for it, how it came out. I had high expectations for it after seeing the first one, and it just didn't follow through. So,
yeah. All right, we are going to take a quick break because we have Owen Davian talking to Dante from Clerks. We'll be back after this.
That was you in the bathroom. What the hell is your name? You have a wife, girlfriend. But you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to find her, whoever she is. I'm going to find her and I'm going to hurt her. I'm going to make her bleed and cry, call out your name. And you're not going to be able to do shit. You know why? Because you're going to be this close to dead. Then I'm going to kill you right in front of her. What's your name? Who are you? You don't have any idea what the hell's going on, do you? I mean, you saw what I did to your little blonde friend at the factory, right? Well, that was nothing. That was fun.
All right, Mission Impossible 3, folks, 2006, 10 years into the franchise. We start this one at one point and then flashback. I generally, because I've seen this technique done so many times, I generally don't like it, but for the start of a mission movie, it kind of cool and kind of works. I thought that was cool. Apparently Ethan's retired. He's engaged / getting married, and he's teaching the recruits instead of being out in the field. Man, is he old.
Well, I liked his cover story that he had when he was at his house party. He started telling people, he goes, "Yeah, I sit at the Department of Transportation watching screens all day, and it's really cool when you see people, like one person touches their brakes, and you see this whole ripple effect go back." And I remember hearing that, and I went, "Wow, he finds that fascinating." And the women are like, "Oh my God, I could so marry him." I was like, "Good God." You have no idea what his real day job is.
No, you have no idea. So what were your initial thoughts when you first saw this one?
This was pretty good. It was, again, I saw it and I was like, okay, this is a lot better than 2.
Mm-hmm.
I had come off of this, oh God.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, like I said, was with Philip Seymour Hoffman, I kept looking at it and going, it's Truman. It's Truman Capote. He's standing up there and he's playing this villain. The bit with Ethan trying to kill him on the plane and like cutting the stuff and like, tell me, and Ving Rhames is standing there yelling at him. Luther's yelling at him, "This is not you, Ethan. This is not you."
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of hokey, and I knew he wasn't going to kill him. I knew he wasn't, because obviously we'd seen the flashback. We'd seen that scene with him setting it up of, I'm going to shoot her, counting to 10. So you knew that it was going to go on from that. It was just kind of like, this is hokey. Why did they do it?
Yeah, it was a little hokey.
Well, there is one other part that was even a little hokier for me, because we had the drop in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really have a drop in the second one.
Technically, I guess the whole jumping off the cliff thing from cliff to cliff in the beginning, right before he does the armbar hang.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's not really a drop, but I guess you could say that it's, kind of a drop. I don't know.
Yeah, but we had that, and then 3, they have him jump up onto the wall of the Vatican to get in, and as he drops over on the wire and he hits the hole 2 inches above the ground, I'm like, they really have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was just hokey for that. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. The cool thing with 3 is you had commented on Facebook before we recorded this when I shared the lines, the quote page from IMDb. You're like, there are good lines in this movie. Of course there are good lines in this movie. You look at Ethan and Luther when when Ethan is disguised as Owen and they're both deadpan. What's up? Nothing. What's up with you? Nothing. Just absolutely love that. And this is our debut to Benji, a.k.a. Spock from the new Star Trek, and Simon Pegg.
No. He wasn't Spock. He was...
Not Spock. He was Scotty. Yeah.
All right. I have to correct you.
Yeah. And okay, so Mission 1, there were a lot of good lines. Mission 2, there were a couple of good lines. Mission difficult. The line for me for Mission 3 comes from Luther. That look in your eyes is a pain in my ass. You know that, right?
Well, I'll comment on mine, Phil.
Okay.
Same one I posted up on Facebook when they're going back and forth. You really shouldn't do this, man. You shouldn't get hitched with a girl. I'm telling you, it's a bad news thing. We got married 3 days ago. Well, congratulations. That was probably the best line from Luther for me for that film. So.
Mm-hmm. And basically the third film, it's I do like seeing the updated operational stuff. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird, though, that they needed, like, what I mean by the updated operational stuff is the masks and the voice prints and everything else, but it was kind of weird that they had to, did they not have his voice on file? I mean, I know they tried to set it up to where Davian is, pretty much, no one can touch him, no one's been able to get close to him, that kind of thing, but I don't know.
Well, I'm going to bring up one other thing about this film that bugged me, and I said this on Facebook to you. I think I said it offline.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry Russell's character.
Yeah.
So, I remember seeing Executive Decision with Kurt Russell, and they made a big deal about Steven Seagal being in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Seagal was on screen for maybe 10 minutes out of the entire film.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry Russell was about the same amount of time. They bring her in. Ethan Hunt rescues her, and then she dies because a bomb goes off in her head. And the way that the bomb went off, the look on her face was kind of like,
I know.
Like the look on her face. I swear to God, I looked at it, I went, "Oh my God, she just crapped her pants."
Mm-hmm.
That was exactly what it looked like.
So the funny thing is, I haven't seen this movie I haven't seen 3 in a long time. It's 2017. The movie's 11 years old at this point. It's been a while since I've gone back and watched this movie. I knew Kerry Russell was in it, but since then, I've seen her in the FX television series The Americans as Elizabeth, and oh my God, that's a show you need to watch.
I want to. Believe me, it's just time.
No. I know. But I'm just saying,
Oh yeah.
When you get to it, because, oh my God, that series is so friggin' cool. And going back, watching this reminds me of, she can be somebody other than Felicity. She can be somebody other than the, Say Anything girl in 8 Days a Week, which was a really, really weird, off-the-wall film to have her in. But anyway.
I've heard Musketeers, so that should
Yep. Yep. Oh, that poor car.
Yeah.
Poor car. Man, absolutely. Now, another one of the changes here for Mission 3. Mission 3 and 4 are both scored by Michael Giacchino. Michael Giacchino is known for doing The Incredibles. He's done Inside Out. He's done a bunch of other things. I don't mind his... I have to go back and re-listen to the Mission 3 score. It's been a while, but hearing the music in the film, I almost didn't really recognize the Mission theme. Like when Ethan would pop up on screen and stuff, I almost think it was undertoned a little bit.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the first, when they start off with the movie and you see the credits going in, and I heard it and I went, ew, what the hell is that? Mission Impossible theme? Ew. Oh, no, God, no. And that was just something that bugged the hell out of me with the music. And it kind of carried through on 4 and into 5, but...
No, it shouldn't have carried into 5. We'll talk about that later. I will bitch you out for that. So Mission 3, for me, like I said, really, really enjoyed it. I do think that even though it's played out longer than what it really, I don't mean the constant exchange between Davian and Ethan is great. The whole switcheroo between the characters is really awesome. One has one captured and then later vice versa. But for me, I'm probably going to give Mission 3 probably a 4. I did very much enjoy it. It was something very different than the other 2 films. It was... what?
Yeah, I liked it too. I mean, I would probably rate this as a 3.5, 4.
Mm-hmm.
My one thing that kind of bugged me about it is as I'm watching this now, I'm a huge Pixar fan. I'm a huge, I love Pixar. I know all these little things that are intrinsic about Pixar and try to roll things in from their days at Cal Arts. Brad Bird.
That's 4 you're talking about, not 3.
No. There's some stuff in here because this is 3 with Brad Bird. He directed this one.
No, he directed 4.
Okay.
3 was 8. 3 was JJ.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'll hold off.
Yeah. What would you rate 3?
3. Yeah, 3. I would say because, again, the whole Truman Capote thing. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay.
That I didn't understand the whole thing at the end with him and his wife. So that was...
Well, okay, let's talk about that really quick before we move on to 4. So the thing with him and his wife, it was a giant cover-up. Initially, throughout the whole movie, we have Hawkeye's character, because they introduced Jeremy Renner as Brant in this. Essentially, it's friggin' Hawkeye before he was Hawkeye. Because obviously Avengers would not have come out for another 6 years at this point.
And I put something up on that because my wife walked out when I was watching it, and she goes, "Hey, this is oh my God, what's his name?" She goes, "Not Falcon. What's his name?"
Wow.
She knew it wasn't Falcon, but she's like, "It's the guy from the Avengers." I started laughing when she said that. So Hawkeye, she goes, Thank you.
So funny. So Brant tries to explain that he was the guy watching this couple after Ethan retired, and apparently Ethan and Julia were the couple, were the husband and wife on this assignment somewhere. I forget off the top of my head, even though I just watched the movie like 4.5 hours ago before we recorded this. And supposedly his wife ended up dying, but this is a way for the writers to write themselves out of a hole, to not have Ethan have to be retired and just be a civilian. Basically, they fake her death and send her off to, wherever, to live her own life outside of Ethan. And at the end, the scene to me meant more of just showing us, the audience, not really making any sense for the movie, but showing us, the audience, that, oh yeah, hey, she is actually alive, and they probably do still love each other, even though they can never see each other ever again until Ethan, finally does retire when Tom Cruise is 75.
Okay, because that confused the hell out of me. I'm like, okay, she knows what he does now, so are they going to be going on happily married? And I was like, I didn't get that, and I missed, I guess, the bit where they talked about them killing her off, in this mission.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah, because that was the thing. That was the, at the very end, I don't know how you missed this, but at the very, very end, when Ethan comes up to the three of them and drops down the phone, your missions, choose to... See, that's what I love about this, about 3, is that at the end, your missions... He doesn't say, should you choose to accept them. He just says, choose to accept them. So he altered the line because he wants to work with the team again. And what's her name? Jane and Benji take the phones and they walk away. And we're left with Brant and Ethan. And Brant basically said, that's when Brant tells him the story of he was the guy watching them, that kind of thing. And that's when Ethan reveals, hey, look, we actually, this whole thing was a big ruse. I was meant to be in that prison. It was a whole operation and everything else. And the fact that Julia died was, supposed to, protect her, that we faked her death. And then Brant takes the phone and walks away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was confused as hell. I'm like, I know I'm going to have to ask you to please explain.
Yeah. All right. Ghost Protocol has been enacted. So we've got Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol. This came out in 2011. This movie is 6 years old at this point. And I wasn't sure what the hell to think of this when I first saw the trailers. I just wasn't sure at all what to think.
I saw the trailers and I'm like, man, is Mission Impossible getting a little long in the tooth? I mean, that was my first thought was, and And then I saw it, and I was like, okay, this isn't too bad, but The Incredibles director, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's Brad Bird. I do like, though, and I'm going to let you talk about this because you're a huge Pixar guy. I do like how he worked in the A113.
Yes. Well, because I wanted to talk about that, A113 is a classroom at Cal Arts, and I want to say it's for intro to animation or something like that. Mm-hmm. They use that. There's also another room that they use throughout all their other Pixar films. It's not A113, I don't think, but they have that going on throughout the entire Pixar realm, and it's an inside joke that they've done it. Mm-hmm. That you can totally tell that there was an influence of Steve Jobs in this film, or Apple in this film, I should say, too, because Apple owns or has a huge part in Pixar's development. They've got like a huge stake in. Oh,
absolutely.
In like their, God, what is it called? Like their board of directors and such. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so they've had, when I was watching it, and I start seeing them taking their keys, taking their phones and doing all these phone things and everything. And of course, as Ethan's walking down the pier and he's got the white headphones on, I'm like, he's a friggin' iPod. They had an iPhone that he's using throughout the movie.
Yep.
And coincidentally, all the laptops and everything before were all
PC.
PCs, and here all MacBook Airs.
You know what? The technology does not I've said this before. I'll say this again. I do like Apple devices, but I only like the iPads and the iPhones. I'm not into. Okay, yes, the Apple TV, but I'm saying the portable stuff, the stuff that you can't take with, you can't take an Apple TV with you and watch it on the go. That's what the iPad and the iPhone are for. Yeah. I used to do Macs a long time ago, and ever since I've been on a PC for God knows how long since then, every time I get on a Mac, I'm like, it's backwards. What's this? What's that? And you have a Mac, so it's like, But for me, it's kind of ass backwards when it comes to the keyboard controls and things like that. I don't have anything against Apple. I like Apple, but only certain products from Apple. But I don't mind it. Again, this is, 3 came out in 2006. This came out in 2011. That's 4 years between, 5 years between films. God, I can't do any math tonight. Math. And it's just one of those things where I don't mind the technology changed. I love the scene with the hallway. The hallway scene was awesome.
That was pretty bitchin'. And then, of course, you see Simon Pegg's face pop up and it shows on the screen and hell type of thing. That was great. Of course, they're using the iPads to do that, and I thought that was really kind of a nice thing because there are programs that guys and girls have written for the iPads that do all sorts of crazy shit like that. So it is possible to do stuff like that, and you wouldn't realize it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Michael Giacchino is back on the score for this one. I do like it. It's interesting. But I still like another one a little bit better. I do think that in this one, the inclusion of the Lalo Schifrin Mission Impossible theme is noticed more, and because I think 3 was meant to be more of not really a horror mission thing, but more of a kind of a scary, don't turn out the light. Basically, it was meant to be like, you know what? I should look this up, but I really think a certain actor should have been in this in Mission 3 versus a few others, because if he was, it would be Unsolved Mysteries all over again. And the sad thing is, Robert Stack died in 2003. Damn it! But yeah, so So again, I understand why the score in Mission 3 was kind of underplayed a little bit, just from me watching the movie. Again, I have not actually heard. I only have 2, 3, 4, I only have 2, 4, and 5 for the scores. So, but it's one of those things where in 4 you can clearly tell when the Lalo theme comes in. What else about 4 did you like before you talk about the music?
I'm trying to think, because again, I did like a cram on this too here. I'm trying to remember if this was the one. This is the one with the nuclear missile at the end, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the one of the better things about this is when at the end he's getting ready to stop the missile and he yells, "Okay!" and he looks at the guy and he goes, "Okay, mission accomplished." And he smacks down on the button, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't work, yeah.
That
and then later Luther's like, "Did you really say mission accomplished?"
Yes.
Luther called him out on it.
It's the car going over the edge. The thing, and they're like, the insurance company wouldn't pay out on that, huh? Well, no, apparently driving it off, and falling really isn't covered.
That poor BMW.
Oh.
Gives new term to beats my wife. What is BMW backwards? Wanted Mercedes-Benz. I love BMWs, but anyway. So in 3 and 4, we have a new kind of female assistant agent here. We've got Jane Carter in this. Now, what did you think of this chick?
I'm trying to think. Carter.
She was the chick in the dress fighting with the other chick.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the blonde chick, the assassin.
No, not the assassin, the other one.
She was okay. It seemed like it was just kind of like she was put there to be this kind of stirred up love interest for him, but she was okay. I kind of wish they brought back Maggie Q, but
yeah, me too. Another one I noticed on this is and something that I used to be fine with it, but lately, ever since, and I fully blame Fox for this, but ever since I've been watching the new Lethal Weapon series, I just cannot handle looking at building scenes. I just can't handle them. Whether it's up, whether it's down, looking over the edge, looking up at the sky, yeah. I just cannot handle them at all anymore. It makes me and I'm not even there, but it makes me get queasy just looking at them. Like if you watch the Lethal Weapon series, every time Riggs is walking out on the edge of a roof and the camera does a pan down angle, it's like, ugh, I just lost my lunch.
I know exactly what you mean. There's several video games which I can't play anymore. The infamous titles are one that just bugs the hell out of me because of that. You start looking straight down, you're like, 100 feet up in the air type thing. You're looking out over the scenic thing. No, I can't play them anymore because of that. So I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what other? Do you have a favorite scene from this one?
Favorite theme?
Scene.
Sorry. Probably the very the end where they're fighting in the car park. And they've got the cars going back and forth, and they're back and forth with the suitcase, and oh my god, thing. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in this entire one. Although I will say that there was a second bit that was kind of got me a little hot and bothered when I'm watching, and you see Tom Cruise is hauling ass in that electric BMW, and his assistant is there switching her outfits around, and she comes in and you see all of a sudden this bustier type thing that she's changing clothes in the car. I'm like, and I didn't understand why she was changing clothes in the car, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, why was she changing clothes in the... I'm trying to remember now. Oh, because she wasn't technically in mission gear. She was in the suit, right? Because she was impersonating the assassin chick, remember? Because they did the whole hotel switcheroo thing.
That's right.
So Jane, Agent Carter, was in the business suit, and apparently she needed to change out of that for some odd reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, go ahead.
There was... Oh, God, what was it now? Damn it, it just went out of my head. Well, there was obviously the Burj Khalifa scene where he's climbing the glass and his gloves are slipping.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. And of course the drop. They just drop again in this one. Only this time he's wearing a suit, a magnetic suit, and it floats him above everything. And I was kind of like, I watched it,
but it wasn't even him. It was friggin' Hawkeye.
I know, but it was still a drop.
No, that's not unless it's Tom Cruise. No, I refuse to count. I refuse to count that.
It was still the same spread eagle drop. Come on.
Spread eagle drop. The little remote rover looking Optimus Prime roller thing underneath the fan is what's keeping him up, and he has this elastic suit. Tom Cruise did that crap with wires and just wearing normal clothes. He didn't need a special suit and a robot pal and a fan. No, that was almost like Hawkeye was like, okay, I'm gonna go to indoor skydiving today.
Well, but he didn't want to jump. Remember, they're all yelling at him, jump
up and down, jump around. Oh God, I'm going to hell for that one. What I like about this one, and I don't think... Okay, at the end of the first one, we had Cinema of the Caribbean. Beginning of the second one, he's on vacation, and he gets the mission through the sunglasses, which was cool. End of the second one, they kind of go off and are back on vacation, and, Anthony Hopkins is like, oh, well, we'll find you if we need you. Beginning of the third one, it starts with a flashback and then opens to this, and then, whatever. And the third one just kind of... It doesn't just end, but it does give sort of a happy ending to the whole thing. Yeah. But the fourth one is where I feel that the franchise is now starting to go Batman Begins, Dark Knight-ish.
Yeah.
Because at the end of Batman Begins, we have, we just got this at City Hall yesterday. It's a calling card of some sort. Calls himself the Joker. At the end of this, we get a whole thing of Rogue Nation. The whole thing of this guy who's trying to do this. Like, we get a teaser of the next movie at the very end of Ghost Protocol, which I absolutely love. I do not mind, because we were not sure if there was going to be a sixth mission. I do not mind that there really isn't kind of a tease at the end of Rogue Nation. We'll talk about that in a minute. What would you give Ghost Protocol?
I'd give this one. I'd give this one a 4. It was better than 3. It was up there with 1. It was good.
Mm-hmm. All right. It is time now to go rogue. That's right, folks. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I said this, I believe, when I wrote up my review of the score, because I've actually talked to the composer, Joe Kramer, that did the music on this one, and I'll have that interview in the interview link in the post for you guys to be able to go back and listen to that. But it's interesting that they released this in 2015 instead of 2016.
Yeah,
I almost would have thought that they would have released it the 20th anniversary or something. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying, that's just the way my brain thinks a lot of times. It's like, if you want to, pay tribute to when the series started, but whatever. 2015.
You made it sound as if I was recruiting her for her skills as a thief.
Well, then I misled you, or you made the wrong assumption. Either way, we are asking her to resume a prior relationship, not do anything she hasn't already done. Voluntarily, I might add.
No. She's got no training for this kind of thing.
But to go to bed with a man and lie to him, she's a woman. She's got all the training she needs.
I don't think I can get her to do it.
You mean it'll be difficult?
Very.
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
We're about to close.
It won't be long.
You looking for anything in particular?
Something rare.
Let me guess. Classical.
Jazz.
Sax?
Coltrane.
Piano?
Monk.
Shadow Wilson on bass.
Shadow Wilson played drums.
Know why they call him Shadow?
Because he had a light touch.
You're in luck. I have a first pressing. It really is you. I've heard stories. They can't all be true.
Good evening, Mr. Hunt. The weapons you recovered in Belarus were confirmed to be VX nerve gas, capable of devastating a major city. The bodies of the aircrew were found less than 24 hours after they landed in Damascus. They were identified as low-level Chechen separatists, with neither the access nor the ability to acquire the weapons they were transporting. This would support your suspicion that a shadow organization is committed to inciting revolution by enabling acts of terror in nations friendly to Western interests. IMF suspects this to be the same shadow organization you have been tracking for the last year, also known as the Syndicate. IMF would be right. Normally, you and your team would be tasked with infiltrating and disrupting this terrorist network, but we have taken steps to ensure that this will not happen. Because we are the Syndicate, Mr. Hunt. And now we know who you are. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to face your fate. Pursue us, you will be caught. Resist us, you will be killed. And your precious secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. Good luck, Mr. Hunt. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
So this one actually came out, Rogue Nation came out July 31st, 2015. Okay. Weird kinda release, because most of the movies have come out in either May or December. I don't know. That's a little strange to me. But, you know, we get Rogue Nation. And for me, especially having talked with Joe Kramer, I absolutely love this one. This is my favorite one out of the franchise. It really, really is. Because they set out to basically pay full homage to the old series. They wanted to really get the feel of the series down, and I think they did that with this.
Yeah, this is kind of, they finally got it back down to, here, we're just going to do a quick spy-type film, and it's going to be that we're going to have these spy agencies that we're dealing with, and we've got the CIA and the IMF, and there's infighting going on. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for some reason, Alec Baldwin shows up.
Hey, you leave Donald Trump alone.
Oh crap. God, yes, it's going to be huge.
You leave Donald Trump alone. Oh, Lord. But yeah, Mission 5, Rogue Nation. Absolutely love it. Think it's a great, great film. I think this is the one where I finally got to really enjoy Benji. I mean, I've enjoyed him in 3 and 4, but like this one kind of had him almost at center stage a lot of the times.
Yeah, going to Vienna was great. You know, and him getting shot at, and having to try to figure it out, and actually being a field agent. You know, well, yeah. I mean, he was a field agent in 4, but you know, still. Yeah.
It was just so cool, and what I love here is the transition from whatever Ethan's doing or whatever's going on with Ethan with the with all that stuff to Benji. It was what the hell was it? It was Brandt and Baldwin. I forget what the new future secretary's name was in the movie, but basically Alec Baldwin's character and Brandt are going back and forth, and then we cut to Benji, and Benji's playing Halo while he's at work.
Yes. Trying to lie to the lie detector and figure it out.
And the lie detector even knew, because we see at the very end that there's a little blip there.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. The whole thing about the Rogue Nation, about the government within the government and things like that, or these separatists and blah, blah, blah. This is a better version of Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that's pretty much
This is a much better version of Age of Ultron. The opening scene with the plane, I love his shrug at the bad guy. He's like, just pull this cord.
That was kind of interesting, though, as they said, well, they discovered the bodies of all those people there. They couldn't figure out how they had access to it. They discovered their bodies like 24 hours later, and I'm kind of like, they discovered the bodies. So basically everybody who was on that plane got killed. Mm-hmm. And my first thought was it on purpose? Like, did the bad guys who were trying to get the stuff kill them? Or was that, the CIA, IMF that killed them? Really wasn't clear, but it was one of those things that kind of bugged me when I heard it.
Yeah.
In my head, so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What were your overall thoughts for this one?
It was good. I got irritated with the fact that you had all these people who were supposed to be dead who were all of a sudden popping up as part of the Rogue Nations coming out. and as part of the syndicate. It seemed kind of hokey, and then of course Alec Baldwin there is no syndicate. There's no such thing as a syndicate. It's all a fabrication for the Prime Minister, and he goes, "Oh, so you mean this syndicate, blah, blah, blah." And he you knew?
Mm-hmm.
How did we not know about this? We're the CIA. It kind of made me think of, okay, you guys suck at intelligence.
Yeah, they kind of do, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let's see. What I love here is Ilsa and Ethan working together. I think that was really cool. I love when Benji and Ethan are on the run and they kind of inadvertently meet up with Brant and Luther. And they just kind of, I thought that scene was hilarious. They just kind of look at each other. The four men don't have to say anything to each other. It's just, let's exchange a glance and go on our merry way.
Well, it was funny because I noticed Ethan waved.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I see Benji and he looks and he's like, "Hey!"
Yeah.
"Hey!" And then, of course, Ving Rhames is bitching about, had to get the 4x4.
Yeah.
Had to have that one here. We got a high-speed chase, and we got a 4x4 we're running in.
Yep. And then Brant's like, "Well, you were the one that wanted the 4x4. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. But again, this movie is just so fun, and Joe Kramer did an amazing job with the music. He really did.
He managed to pull it out. I mean, it was still... When I heard the theme song, because this is something that I hear the theme song throughout, and to me it's... Because of what it is, because it is an iconic theme song, you don't necessarily want to mess with it too much, and that was what
he's not really... He didn't really mess with it.
Right.
What he did was he used various parts of it. He used the beginning, he used the middle, he used the end, or he used the, whatever. Again, people, go listen to the interview that I did with Joe, because I asked him in the interview, can you break it down for me how you did this? And he kind of does go through the process of using the classic theme and having it enhance the rest of the score that he made. I just think it's the most classic score. I mean, yes, I do still love the Adam Clayton, Larry Mullen version of the theme, and obviously the original, but I think Joe's is by far the best out of the other three movies, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh yeah, and I'm not discounting it. It was good. It was, for me, it's going to be 1. That's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The Rogue Nation there, I would probably put that. I'd probably put that at 2, and then, Ghost Protocol at 3, Mission Impossible 2 at 4, and then 3 is being 5 because I really kind of went ew on 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, I cannot wait for Mission 6. Oh, I hope this happens so. When I looked at the information on this again, Wikipedia, folks, take it with a grain of salt, but it is Wikipedia. It does say 2018. That's technically only a year away, but damn it feels like it's so long.
It's, all I gotta say, Mike, is it's just you and your love affair with...
No, it has nothing to do with Tom Cruise himself. It has to do with the characters that this franchise has built over the last 21 years. I get more enjoyment out of these movies seeing when Luther pops up than I do seeing when Ethan pops up.
Yeah,
you look at the beginning of 5, and it's Brant and Benji arguing back and forth about the packages on the plane. The package, where's Ethan? I don't know. He's doing all this stuff and whatever else. And then Luther from a different country, not even there, chimes in.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing here, Luther? You're supposed to be... I am in the place that you told me to be. But Benji needed some tech support. And then all of a sudden, in his classic style and fashion, Ethan shows up. It's not like, could anyone else besides Tom Cruise play the character of Ethan Hunt? No. But for me, it's not solely about Tom. It's about it's about the character that he's playing and the actions of that character. So, like I said, Mission 6, Macquarie is going to return to the film to direct. I believe Joe Kramer is coming back to do the score for Mission 6. I'll have to ask him. I see that it's listed here, but I don't know if that's actually factually correct. And as I said earlier, Mission 6 will supposedly include more backstory to Hunt's personal life, so that's going to be interesting. But Mission 5, absolutely loved it. Thought it was great. What I loved about this is the beginning of how he's getting his information. Again, the record player, the classic thing with again, kind of basically making this movie a longer version of the TV series. But basically, the villain traps him Lane traps him in the box. And at the end, Lane gets put in a box of his own. I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah, with the gas and everything.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was kind of like, oh, that's cold. And I wasn't sure. Did they, I wasn't sure if they killed him or if they just took him off and, or they were going to jail him or something.
Okay, well, the way that I interpret the end scene is Ethan jumps down the shaft and Lane goes over there and he looks and he sees that Ethan's just laying there. He obviously doesn't see the glass because Ethan is just outside the glass. He jumps down. Ethan gets up. Everybody, the glasses all slide into place, and it's basically the glass proof, the glass box that's bulletproof and whatever, like with the record store. And what they did was they gassed him, and then they tipped him upside down and put him in the police vehicle and took him away. I don't think the gas killed him.
Yeah,
because the gas didn't kill Ethan either. I mean, the gas in the very beginning. I mean, if we wanted series over, they would have killed Ethan right there in the record store.
Yeah, and that was I kind of wondered why if they were really going to be this big bad villain and they wanted him out of the way, why didn't they kill him at the beginning? But then again, there wouldn't have been a Rogue Nation to go on with.
Yep, absolutely. And do I wish that there would have been some sort of something leading up to whatever Mission 6 is going to be? Kind of, sort of, but not really, because we don't know what's going to happen with Mission 6 whatsoever. So, who knows? Overall, for me, Mission 5 is by far the best. I've got to give it 5 stars out of 5. Absolutely loved every moment of it. I did kind of get a little bored with the water scene, but that's only because it's not because of the scene itself, it's because of the environment. I've never liked underwater scenes in films a lot of the time. But other than that, 5 out of 5 for me. What about you?
I'd give it probably a 4.5 out of 5 just because that water scene bugged the hell out of me. Well, okay, I watched it, and as I'm watching, I'm going, wow, CG, huh? Okay, moving on. It's just the whole thing just reminded me of, I kept thinking to myself, why couldn't he use some sort of scuba tank or rebreather system to be able to hold his breath longer than 3 minutes? They never really explained that.
No, they did. They did. Again, you're not paying attention. Because of the pressure in that thing and the alarms and whatever else, you couldn't bring any. Basically, think of it as that room is Magneto, and you cannot bring any plastics or you cannot bring any metals into it. Okay. So they couldn't do plastic, they couldn't do anything. So, and they had to, because they had already shown her at her pool in Casablanca holding her breath for 2 minutes in the pool when he and Benji show up. So they had to do something with that. And yeah.
Well, I knew that was going to happen. I kind of got the feeling like she was setting herself up to go and do that job without Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand, if it's like, okay, if she's going to go out and do this job, why does she need Ethan to get in on all this? That other than to sucker him in so that she had a scapegoat. That's the whole thing that felt like for me. So that's what bothered me with that. It's just, other than that, it was pretty good. It was not I've seen better films. I've seen better action films. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but this was, for what it was good for what it was.
Yep. All right, folks, we're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back to close the show after this.
Join the IMF. See the world on a monitor in a closet.
We brought the entire convention center to the brink of an inter-genre geek war.
Okay, Michael, if we're going to tackle this podcast thing, we've got to do something really special. It has to be cool, daily, in audio form, and undetectable by radar. Something that screams summer. I know, let's do a Phineas and Ferb review podcast. We'll call it the Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym, or POWCA for short. What do you think?
I think if we're not careful, Candace is going to bust us.
You can find POWCA on the Geekcast Radio Network, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and all of the other methods you find podcasts.
We'll give you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Face to face. Just as you wish, Stephen.
It hurts, I know. Gentlemen, this is Solomon Lane. Mr. Lane, meet the IMF.
All right, everybody, we are back, and that is episode 130 of Movie Week in Review, Mission Impossible, the franchise, the film franchise, 20 years of the IMF, 21 years of the IMF. And, yeah, absolutely love the Mission films. Can't wait to see what they do with 6 and where they take us, because if you look at the first 5 films, they've taken us quite literally all over the world. I don't think there's other than like the North Pole or the Antarctic, there really isn't a place that they have not hit with various missions and things like that. So,
I'm having visions all of a sudden now that you've said that, I'm having visions of the world is not enough, with them racing across the ice in 007, or what is the F8, whatever they're calling it now, where they've got the tank and the sub coming after them in the ice. Now I'm having visions of that, now that you've said that.
It's the title of that is now changed. It's The Fate of the Furious.
Okay.
I don't know.
We're calling it Furious 8, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Fast 8, Furious 8, whatever. But yeah, I absolutely cannot wait. Coming up next here on M-Wire, Steve Megatron is going to be back, and we're going to talk about one of the greatest films of 1994, Disney's Blank Check.
Oh, man.
Because I am Mr. Macintosh. Shay Stanley. Oh, Lord. What do you got going on?
You know what? I've actually been taking a break with talking about my generation, but I really need to get a relaunch going on it.
Well, we don't have to relaunch it. We can still do the same. We can still pick up where we left off.
We need to get going again on a theme. We need to start talking about stuff. I know.
No, it's all right.
anybody who wants to go out there and hear what we have recorded, because we do have several years worth of stuff out there.
Yep.
Go check us out at mygenerationpodcast.com and take a listen to all of our stuff, talking back. I know we've got things like Animaniacs. We've got that's something we should revisit, because I'm going to get ready to go to the Animaniacs Live in April. So that may be something we talk about. There's a revisit of that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've got stuff like Animaniacs. We've got the favorite Christmas movies. A Christmas Story type stuff, which we did. We've got all sorts of stuff. Go check us out over there if you want to check us out. Listen to us for My Generation Podcast. Talk about My Generation Podcast.
Absolutely. So we will tune in next time to see what we will see with Blank Check. So keep those film reels rolling, folks, and we will catch you next time.
Joe Kramer here, composer from Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. This podcast from the Geekcast Radio Network will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
You've just listened to Movie Week in Review on GeekCastRadio.com. If you would like to leave feedback on the show, there are many ways to do so. First, you can visit the website, GeekCastRadio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. Be sure to rate our show on iTunes and leave us feedback. You can follow us on Twitter at GCRNMwire. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can email us at feedback@geekcastradio.com. Call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.
In a world, there, I said it, happy,